Good morning, I'm Mark Preece. I'm the Chief Fire Officer of Gloucestershire Fire and Rescue Service. I'm also the Executive Director for Community Safety in Gloucestershire County Council. This morning, the presentation I'm going to be giving is my reflections on culture and leadership and about my role as the Chief Fire Officer to bring that culture alive, to improve culture and to work with the wider organisation to bring that change that we've all been striving to bring for Gloucestershire to improve the behaviour within our service. For me, the key points is that it's really everybody's responsibility to bring about a cultural change. But within that, my role is about demonstrating those values in every opportunity, in every occasion, and making every member of staff within our service feel valued, feel heard, and feel that they can make a true difference to the service. The rationale behind the report being commissioned really was I accepted that really the only way we could move forward as a service was to deal with our past. There were many things that, I wasn't happy to hear as the Chief Fire Officer and really concerned me. And it was about giving those individuals who'd had an absolute terrible time in the service, and many of them had left and retired. And even the families of two colleagues who died since leaving the service, it was about giving them the opportunity to tell their story, their narrative, and the impact upon them as individuals, because I think that was the voice that was never heard. And it was quite key to make sure that they had the platform to explain what they'd experienced during their time in Gloucestershire Fire and Rescue Service and how they'd been failed by the organisation. In terms of addressing the recommendations that came from the independent review, and there were 14 initial recommendations, which link very much to also the HMI recommendations on culture. What we've taken with those recommendations is we've embedded them into our Service Improvement Board. And on our Improvement Board, you have not only myself, but you have the Chief Executive of the County Council, you have the Leader of the County Council, you have representations from the Local Government Association as well. So in terms of holding me to account as the Chief Fire Officer, I'm not marking my own homework. I'm being scrutinised, and appropriately so as well, and challenged by other colleagues who've got a key interest and are key partners to make sure I as the Chief deliver that change. And as you rightly say, they won't be delivered overnight. We know that, but this is about a long-term commitment that we will achieve those 14 recommendations. Some of them we've been able to deal with immediately and they've been implemented. Others are in progress and others will be delivered over time. But for me, the key thing was it was never a one-off activity. Doing the independent review was the first step on the journey. It's about the other piece of work we've done now, which is bringing West Midlands employers back to do a follow-up review, because we've got to hold ourselves to account. And I think many services, many organisations do that initial report. What many services or organisations fail to do is the follow-up. And I don't think this will be the last, follow-up review we'll do. Although I'm retiring in the future, I think as a service, as an authority, it's about coming back to those recommendations and that cultural journey time and time again. Because if we're really serious about bringing change, you have to hold yourself to account all the time. And that's what I've been committed to do as Chief. It's absolutely paramount, because EDI is about every single member of staff. It's not about fixing your culture for one individual or one particular group. If you build the right culture, it affects every single member of your staff, everybody in your organisation, both uniformed and non-uniformed, because we owe it to everybody that they come to work, they feel valued and they feel heard. I think in terms of EDI, the recognition we've had from AFSA has been an important step for us as well, because it was about recognising we are doing good work, but we have to be honest with ourselves and know there's still much more to do. We're on that journey, we're not fixed, and that's going to be a continual process, because as you build your base level of understanding, actually your expectations move, and that will never really reach the end goal. We'll keep striving to be a better version of ourselves, and I think it's that reality. In every fire service, there are tremendous staff, but we equally have to be honest with ourselves that sadly, we reflect society in its strengths and its weaknesses, and we've got pockets of staff that we need to work with and change their behaviours and change their outlook. And if they won't change and come with us on that journey, then they need to leave the service, because this is too important for us to fail. I think conferences such as this are really important, not least to spread good practice. None of us hold the answers to fixing these challenges, and sharing that lived experience, as much as what's not worked as what has worked, is really important. I think too often services can see a challenge, a problem, and become focused on the problem and not pause for a minute and think, right, how are other services dealing with this? Because the fire service has got many strengths, but with those weaknesses are sometimes working in silos. And a conference such as this really means we can share that good practice, and hopefully people will take from today the lessons learned, they'll take phone numbers and email addresses, and it's the conversations that happen in the weeks and months that really are the value of what today brings.